KMSP-TV Minneapolis-St. Paul. Primetime News is next. Primetime News, the Twin Cities' only primetime news hour, with the latest developments from the Channel 9 newsroom and our independent network news headquarters in New York.
Tonight on Independent Network News, another assault on the world economy as Britain and Norway slash the price of their crude oil. We'll explain why economic chaos could result and what it means to consumers. Congress and the EPA are still at loggerheads over agency records. A new storm is spawned by the EPA's inability to account for millions of dollars.
Also ahead in our series on illiteracy, we'll tell you how the war against ignorance is being fought. And scientists say the Loch Ness Monster may be more than a myth.
I'm Paul Baldwin in the Twin Cities. In the local and regional section of Primetime News, cleanup crews are still on the scene tonight of a 210,000-gallon jet fuel spill near Owatonna in southern Minnesota. The fuel was discovered 2 days ago, leaking from a Williams Company pipeline. The cracks in the pipe have been sealed, but workers continue to clean up the mess. Hundreds of Minnesotans have contracted psittacosis during the past few months. It's an ailment state health officials say may have been caught from pet birds. And now they believe the problem is far worse than they had first originally thought. A Goodwill trainload of grain made its way through Minneapolis this week. The Pillsbury Company donated its services to process the grain given by South Dakota farmers. The flour will now be sent to Detroit to feed the unemployed. And the homeless in Minneapolis are being aided by a new program which melds funds by public and private sector. The object is to provide them with temporary emergency housing. We'll have these stories and more at 9:30, right after Independent Network News.
Good evening, everyone. Two oil-producing countries, Britain and Norway, have cut the price of their oil by 10%. Now, other producers and consumers alike are waiting to see how the Persian Gulf responds to the North Sea's challenge. Tim Malloy reports.
Steve, the move overseas adds momentum.
It's all mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time, we've got the beer, for what you have in mind. Welcome to Miller Time, yours and mine.
The best beer for the best time of the day, Miller High Life.
Becoming very, very monotonous. The question is whether or not we can expect a change, or can we see the sun this weekend, Warren?
Well, I don't know whether we're going to see the sun. We may see the sun by the middle of next week, at least partially sunny on Tuesday and Wednesday, but I don't think so this weekend. If you think the weather is too monotonous, you could trade it for last winter when we had 95 inches of snow. I think this is, at least by most people's standards, a better alternative. Let's take a look at what we have right now currently in our Twin City metropolitan area. Well, we have some fog under cloudy skies. Temperatures mild, though, 35 degrees, or with winds out of the southeast at 13. We have a wind chill of 18. The humidity now is reading 100% again. This is the fourth night in the past week we've had 100% humidity. A front has remained stationary across Minnesota today. From Fargo to Duluth, mild and humid conditions covered the state, resulting in widespread fog. Occasional precipitation fell today, mostly north of the front in the form of freezing drizzle. It's the chance of precipitation for the weekend, and snow is forecast in the north of that front. But it's going to be warm enough probably here in our south for rain until Saturday night when temperatures start to drop. It's going to be cooling off at the beginning of next week. Let's take a look at temperatures across the country, and things seem pretty much remaining along seasonal normals, all except that fog and drizzle. We have fog right now. Lows nearly steady in the mid-30s. Tomorrow, a 30% chance of rain, the highs in the upper 30s to the low 40s. For Sunday, snow with temperatures nearly steady in the upper 20s and the low 40s. The extended forecast through Wednesday, calling for cloudy skies with a chance of snow, highs in the upper 20s to the low 30s. And a reminder, fishermen, ice fishermen, get those fish houses off the lakes by the end of February. February 28th is the deadline, according to the Department of Natural Resources. So, Paul, get that fish house off the lake.
Okay, thanks, Warren. The Gopher hockey team is battling it out with my old alma mater tonight, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, well, your old alma mater has awoken in the third period. It's become quite a game, Paul. The Gophers, as you probably know, have a chance to clinch the WCHA regular season championship with a victory tonight or tomorrow night. against Wisconsin at Williams Arena. And when these two teams get together, you can cut the atmosphere with a knife, and it's just that way at Williams Arena tonight. It was a tight hockey game after 2 periods. In the 3rd period, it has broken wide open. Let's check out some of the action. Scott Bukestead scored his 35th goal of the year in the 1st period early, and the Gophers went ahead 1-0 as he picked up the puck in front, got the bounce, and banged it home. But then Bruce Driver scored twice for Wisconsin, and they went ahead 2-1. This is the 2nd of his 2 goals, eluding Frank Pietrangelo. 2-1 after 1 period. But scored there, and then Ted Pearson made it 4-3, and then Dave Maley, the Edina kid, scores from right in front, and it's 5-3. Wisconsin still on. I think the Gophers probably going to have to win tomorrow night, or hope North Dakota loses 1 out of their 2 games this weekend in order to clinch outright the championship in the WCHA. And I have just a few high school scores here. Do we have time?
No.
Probably not. Wait, a lot of good high school scores.
Okay, that's Prime Time News for tonight.
Glenwood,
we'll see you
Falls.
again Monday night at 9. Good night, and have a good